I have a question, sir. How come you didn't ask the students that were sitting back there what they thought?
Because they're not members of the board.
Why aren't they members of the board?
What do you mean, which students?
All the students that
They're
were
not
sitting in
members
their
of the board.
chairs.
This is a board meeting.
And the students are not members of the board.
No, they're not members.
So the
of
students can't make decisions about the university, decisions that affect the students.
That's right.
Do you think students should make decisions about the university?
You have two representatives on
How many representatives do you have?
I'm only one. What do you mean?
How many non-students are sitting on this board?
Well, there are representatives from the profs, there are representatives from the support staff, representatives from the province, representatives from the Université St. Paul.
So there are more non-students than students sitting on the board making decisions about the university.
You know what? The government of Ontario, in its wisdom when it created the law, created the board in that fashion.
But what is your feeling? Do you think it's fair that students, their voice is not heard as much because they're outnumbered on a board such as this, which makes decisions that affect students?
Well, you know what? I heard this evening a lot of comments from the two students on the board, plus Federico and Seamus.
But could Federico and Seamus vote?
They express their voices, and then it's up to the board to decide.
Why couldn't Federico and Seamus vote?
Because they're not on the board. The board is created by law, so they're not on the board. So why should they have a right to vote? They have a voice. Doesn't mean that they have the right to vote on it. The thing is, this is a corporation. It's a corporation that has an annual budget of over $700 million. So just to use your analogy, so does that mean that in a hospital that all of the patients make decisions on a day-to-day basis for the hospital? In a corporation, does that mean that all the shareholders make the decisions in terms of the operation of the corporation? It seems to me that the students absolutely should have a voice, and they voiced their concerns here this evening. But then the final decision is entrusted to a board of governors that is by law mandated and responsible for the management of the corporation. And if it's mismanaged, then those directors are personally liable for that. As I said earlier too, then there's the support staff, the profs, the faculty, and so on were represented on this board. So in the end, everybody's sort of got a voice, and hopefully it's by bringing all of those different perspectives that you get.
But I think it's clear that if there were more than half of students on this board, maybe some of the students sitting back there today, that the vote would have went a different way.
You're right.
I mean, if you just look at the people in the room and you look at the number of people that agreed and disagreed with raising tuition fees, it's clear that today, in this room, there were more people that wanted tuition fees to be lower.
And if you had all of the taxpayers of Ontario and asked them the question, you might get a different perspective on it.
But they're not here today.
Well, no, they're not, because the thing is, they don't have to be. They're represented by the Board of Governors here.
So do you feel that the Board of Governors represents students?
It represents, it has a duty to represent the best interest of the institution. By law, that is our duty. That's our fiduciary duty. Act in the best interest of the institution. That's what the common law says. In my view, my personal view, and as you can see, I didn't vote. I get to vote when there's equality in a split decision. But I would have voted in favor of the resolution, because I think that we would be at great risk if we were not to increase the fees at this time. And we're at a terrible sort of place, financially vis-a-vis the markets and so on and so forth. I mean, we've seen the effect on our endowment fund. We see the effect on the pension fund and so on and so forth. If we were to wait 1 year before making this increase, I think we're really exposing ourselves to a very risky situation. And I certainly wouldn't want to put the university in a position where you sort of have to make cuts after the fact. You don't want to cut jobs. You don't want to cut, the quality of education. So it's a very delicate balancing act. so quite frankly, I'm delighted by the quality of the debate tonight. And as you can see, it wasn't a slam dunk decision, but it's, I thought the discussion was exactly what this kind of issue warranted. A good, open, frank discussion on the part of everybody.
But one thing you're forgetting is that there is no discussion with all the students sitting back there.
No, but the thing is, those two people are there to represent the interests of the students.
But we were all sitting back there. You could have just asked what we thought.
But
I mean, why not have an open debate
board
and argument and discussion with everyone in the room present today?
But it doesn't work that way. So, in the sense that once the board is seized of the issue, the board has a debate and discusses it. I mean, that's why in the meetings up until now, we invited Seamus and Frederico. We said, you are there to represent the views of your students in addition to the two who are at the table. Come and talk to us. Come and make
But that's all they can do. All they can do is talk, because you have the power to make the decisions. With voting, we don't have that power. I don't have that power.
They have the power to talk and influence the decision. And that's pretty powerful.
I don't understand what's going on. Hey, how come we didn't vote?